Welcome to another weekend of Punters Guide. We've got a bit of a mixed bag this weekend with some flat action, some jumps action, and of course it's classic action as well with the Irish Oaks over at the core. The team is already joining me, Frankie Foster from Ireland, but he's at the beautiful Killarney, and Jason Weaver as well. He'll be at Newbury this weekend. And I say a bit of something for everyone this weekend, Jason. Although plenty of people on weather watch. It's warm, but the wet stuff's on its way.
And I think that's going to be key, isn't it? You know, there are a few of the sprints that we're going to discuss where definitely a little bit of rain is going to help one or two, and it's going to hinder one or two, especially down Newbury way. There's a little bit of rain forecast today. I think quietish. And then, yeah, Saturday for the big day itself, there is supposed to be the odd shower around. Just keep a close eye.
Plenty of people have got some cracking jobs. But this guy on my right, where are you this week? Killarney.
Killarney, yeah, and as we speak about it, not to diss Market Rasen, because I'm looking forward to going there on Saturday, but I should have stayed for the Irish Oaks, shouldn't I? And made my way north. But yeah, Killarney's lovely. I feel like I say this quite a lot whenever I'm on a racing trip, that it's well worth doing, but it is certainly one of those at the top of my list. It depends what you want, but what you get here is good, proper sort of Irish culture. You know you're in Ireland. There's lovely little pubs. Everyone's got that Southern Irish accent and is super friendly. They love their racing. If you like golf, there's great golf here. There's some good hikes. So you could do a good weekend of it between good pints and good outdoor activities. It's a lovely spot. I'll be doing my best at both.
I was going to say, you've sold it. You've sold it. Yeah, don't leave disappointed. Make sure you take advantage of that. Right, let's try and find you some winners then this weekend. Starting at Newbury. Before we do, as I always say, please like, subscribe this channel. And of course, you get notified whenever there is a new episode. Punter's Guide every weekend we do this. Let's look into the Stevenson Stakes then. Listed race, 10 furlongs, Jace. The key, although the ground we talked about a moment ago, is the dead 8 going to post here.
Yeah, that's what we want. I suppose it'll be leaning towards maybe N for Jar. They might be trying to back him. Okeechobee, I think he's attracted a little bit of support as well. Although it's been very much the way, hasn't it, with the Harry Charlton runners? They tend to attract a lot of market support, and sometimes they don't always tend to run up to scratch. Now, the two horses that jump off the page for me, Ancient Wisdom taking a massive drop down in grade, bombed out very badly on his return here, ran really well at Sandown, ran a clunker again last time at Epsom. And then you got Rashabar. I always lean that way, don't I? But he's a huge class drop angle and he steps up in distance. £9 weight for age. And I just hope they ride him like a good horse. Drop him in, ride him for speed. Because, he's only managed to win one race. One he managed to win. Was at the Royal Meeting. He's placed a load of times, but I'm hoping he can get his second win on the board.
Flying the flag for the 3-year-olds then, Jason with Rashabar and the Stevenson Stakes. Where did you go, Frankie?
I agree, yeah. As Jay said, he's only won one race, but he's got a second behind Whistle Jacket, a second behind Camille Pissarro, a second behind John Quill, and then has been fairly well beaten in Group 1's last time out, but with top level horses in. So he's been running well enough. He does obviously step up in trip. His pedigree doesn't scream that he'll love it, but Holy Roman Empire, who he's by, has produced a couple of 10 furlong and even a couple of mile and a half horses that were half decent. So you take your chance. He's run well at Newbury before, and this just looks an easier assignment. So hopefully, yeah, he can get another one next to his name.
Okay, Rashabar then, with that big class drop for Brian Mean and Sean Lever. We move on then. This is a relatively new race, only going a few years. It was quite a big pot when it was introduced. Still, over 40 grand in winning place prize money. Over 2 miles. Again, the key is having the dead 8 going to post, Jason.
Yeah, and look, they've got a few that are on the recovery. Wonder Legend looked really classy, didn't he? Especially when he won up at Newcastle. That form has been given a massive boost. Disappointed last time, pulled up. Let's hope he's okay. They've got a change of rider. Not quite sure why that's come about. And you've got Wild Waves, who ran really well in the Queen Alexandra behind Sober and probably going to be towards the top of the market. I'm praying, it's not very often we say this because we've had brilliant weather and we love it. Little bit of rain is certainly going to help Contacto, who goes for Andrew Baldwin. No weight on its back whatsoever. Started winning at Doncaster last year. bottomless ground. Absolutely zipped in on that occasion, and has run a couple of nice races this year. He's related to the likes of Harrovian, that the Balding team have trained. He's a good horse, good stamina, loads of the mare was a decent stayer for Sir Mark Prescott. All I need, a little bit of rain.
Well, it's coming. It is on its way, the wet stuff. Contacto for Jason Weaver. I know you're a fan of the Andrew Balding yard. Frankie, you with him or against him?
I would have liked to have been with the other Andrew Balding runner, Wild Waves, but just the rain. Wild Waves has had one start on soft ground and was beaten 18 lengths. So that is a worry, considering they've decided, whether it was, I'd imagine by design, to go on good or good to firm ground ever since. So it's probably why there has been a little bit of an early drift on Wild Waves with the forecast. Kyle of Lukash is quite interesting. Hasn't raced since the end of April in a race that Caballo Del Mar won. I don't know the exact numbers, but he's gone up a fair bit since winning that, and has won a couple of times since, and finished second at Royal Ascot. And prior to that as well, finished third at Ponty, and Oxford Comma, who won that race, has won a couple since, albeit over hurdles, I think. But has finished behind a couple of horses on the rise. Don't really know the reason for just avoiding any sort of racing until now. It's a little bit of a break, but supported, goes on the ground, hoping as well handicapped, and only carries 9 stone 1, unlike a couple of those, that are obviously bringing his weight down a touch. So Kyle of Cash for Hughie Morrison for me and Dave Probert.
Okay then, right, from the stayers to the sprinters, the Hackwood Stakes. Absolute cracker here, 12 set to go to post. A few of those that rated the highest on a bit of a recovery mission though, Jason. Kind of throws this wide open.
Yeah, I mean, look, Diligent Harry, surely if he was yours, I know that you managed to win up at the Chip Chase, surely if he was yours, you'd have an absolute lid pinger in there and give him something to follow, wouldn't you? Because he's got a wonderful change of gear when everything happens for him, although he was brilliant up at Newcastle. Elite status, last year's winner, tends to kick himself quite a lot, hence they try to make it as smooth late on. He has front and back wraps on, to make sure that he doesn't get any speedy cuts. And then you're digging in. Giraffe's on a recovery mission. Cardem is 9. Probably got the class of the field, I suppose. And Regional will be towards the top of the market after running a cracker in this last year. But I'm clutching a little bit at straws, because Kind of Blue has not shown anything like he can produce this year, has he? Went to France, was odds on, gave it away at the gates. Runs in the Chip Chase, is out in the middle of the track at Newcastle. Slowest part of the track by some way. We know it's conveyor belt up the stand side rail, isn't it? I'm hoping I'm going to give him one last roll of the dice, especially he's an each way sort of price as well on the recovery. Let's hope he's not the only dud that Wathnan get. Let's hope he's a bit of a rocket like some of the others.
Yeah, big week coming up for them at Goodwood as well, the week after next. So Kind of Blue sticking with last year's champion spirit winner is Jason. What about you, Frankie? I know it's Giraffes and you were all over him for the Wokingham.
Oh, no, yeah. And I even borrowed your gag, mate, for the main screens. It's probably the most entertainment I provided all week. Yes, fascinating race, isn't it?
Come on, get the gag out. Let's have it.
Oh, it was something along the lines of, do you want a tip in the Wokingham? Giraffe, win by a neck.
It wasn't worth it, was it? It really wasn't worth it.
Yeah, I backed elite status in this last year, but this seems pretty tough. It's a funny horse, isn't he? Why is he so much better at Newbury? For all of consistency and ratings, Regional should be definitely getting the better of him, but that hasn't happened at Newbury before. I kind of like the shout for Diligent Harry. He was 5th, I think, last year and 2nd the year before, but he comes into this in probably better form than he was last year. Obviously, won last time out on the all-weather, but goes just as good on the turf. I won't put you off an each-way bet on him. And for Jace clutching at straws with Kind of Blue, I really wouldn't be against just a small little bet on Cardem. He's a classy horse. We last saw him in America with Coburn, I think you pronounce it, who was like the star sprinter going into the Breeders' Cup meeting. None of the American pundits could have had him beat. He was eventually actually beat. I think he came fourth. But on all known form, stranger things have happened. I know that we haven't seen him for a while and he's old, and this maybe not be the be-all and end-all, but I wouldn't be surprised to see him win. So I'd probably play both of them. Diligent Harry and Cardem, small each ways.
Okay, 2 against the field then. Small each ways for Frankie. Then we move on to the feature. It is the Super Sprint. 20 juveniles set to face a starter here, Jason. But as with these types of races, it is usually quantity over quality. We've got a shorty of Anna Hurricane. He's probably lucky not to be 3 from 3, having blown the start when we were up in the Woodcote at the Betfred Derby meeting.
Yeah, look, he should be coming in with a perfect record, and he should start incredibly short. I think that, what is he, around about evens at the moment? Surely that's going to get gobbled up, isn't he? He's going to be the cornerstone of plenty of an acca. My old favourite, they're going to have to put a net up at the end of the straight to slow him down, aren't they? This will just go rocketing through. And remember, Eva's had no luck in this race with the likes of Chipotle. Came into it as a red-hot favourite, get checked, and things don't happen. But surely at weights and measures, he's rated 100, carrying 8 stone 13. He's in receipt of £6 from Rakeb, who ran over 7 furlongs in the superlative last time. He's probably one who'll beat more than beat him. It's whether he's fast enough over this sort of trip. And then you got Kotai Bell all the way down the bottom. It'd be an each-way play, but extremely boring. Havana Hurricane, surely he's going to win, isn't he?
I think he is, yeah. I mean, you put up an 80-1 place in this a few years ago. I remember a big price, but yeah.
Time for Sandals.
Time for Sandals as well, yeah. There's another one as well. Was it Patrick Owens? I think you put up 80-1, began with an A. I can't remember. It was 3 or 4 years ago. But again, it is a race where something big can hit the frame, but usually the class comes to the fore in the Super Sprint, Frankie.
Yeah. When you said that you'd have to put a net up, Jace, it reminded me of More Thunder, who we didn't quite have to put a net up.
Did we not have to?
Scored it, didn't he? That was a tough watch, wasn't it? I thought he was beat, Tom Marcon would have took a breath out when he crossed the line, wouldn't he? Would have been a tough beat if he'd have gone down at Ascot and there. I think the favourite is probably going to be very hard to beat. My sort of each way play into this just comes off the favourite as well. Kama Chameleon was 5th at Ascot, ran a decent enough race behind the favourite, and one's even money, one's about 20-1. I wouldn't have them that far apart, and if the favourite is that good and Kama Chameleon has ran okay behind the Fav, then I don't see it being a terrible bet at sort of 20s to get in the frame.
Okay, I can't Chameleon, but Havana Hurricane certainly the one to beat. Then we'll talk about the classic at the cover 340. It is the Irish Oaks. We've had Lambourne do the Betfred Irish Derby double already this season, Jason. Can Minnie Hawk follow in the footsteps of her stablemate and do the Betfred Oaks Irish Oaks double? She's a warm order.
Yeah, I mean, like 1-4 at the moment, probably going to go off at 1-6. It's ended up, from a punter's point of view, a lot of them will be going off to the bar, won't they? It's one of those. Where's the angle in? There's only 7 runners as well. It's not like we're getting that bit of each way money. Who's going to finish second? Is it going to be one of Aiden's? I know that Murtagh was talking about Subsonic, who actually finished second to Minnie Hawk on her racecourse debut and then bombed out a little bit when we saw her on one occasion this time around. But she's got a massive amount to find. She could run second. We might take the long way. The form ties in. She is second in the market. It's turned into a bit of a non-event, hasn't it, for the shorty?
It certainly has, and 7 runners as well. Kind of scuppers any each way play, Frankie.
Most of them are Aidens as well.
Yeah.
7 runners and most of them are Aidens. I think the storyline is less about the race itself and more about what you said at the top, Matt, that the Betfred Derby and Betfred Oaks winners are going to retain their crowns in Ireland as well. But besides that, it's not much of a watching race. I'm not really going to pretend that this is an angle I could back, but Subsonic obviously was relatively close to Minnie Hawk on debut, but she's been disappointing since. And we might take the long way. It's got 5.5 lengths to find, so you can't see a whole lot happening, really. which is a bit of a shame, isn't it? But Mini Hawk should, I'd imagine, it's as good as said and done, really.
Right, so that's the flat action then covered for us. Frankie's going to stay with us and look at the jumps at Market Rasen. But before we say cheerio to Jason, and hope he has a great weekend, what would be the idea of a best bet on the level this weekend?
Well, if there was one over in Ireland, straight after the Oaks, Al Riffer, they're trying to make him into a bit of a cup horse by the look of it, aren't they? They step him up in trip to the mile and 6, ran an absolute stormer behind Rebels Romance at the Royal Meeting, and he might have a bit of a question mark attitude-wise, so let's see. They're stepping him up in trip. He could end up being a bit of a cup horse, so I quite like him over at the Curragh. Of the races that we've looked at, Matt, if there's any rain, you need to watch Contacto of Baldings. No weight, an absolute featherweight on its back. It does need a bit of rain. Any rain is going to be a help. We could see a big improvement there. So there are a couple that I like across the two cards.
Yeah, I like it. One we haven't looked as well. Al Riffer, yeah, big chance if staying that extra trip and Contacto there at Newbury in the staying handicap. Right, thanks to Jason. Have a cracking weekend. But stick with us because we're going to have a look at the jumping action with Frankie because he's off to Market Rasen for their Ladies' Day. Yeah, thanks to Jason. Then here's Frankie with his look at over the sticks at Market Rasen. It's a summer plate card. Frankie's going, and we want to know what wins us 205. Frankie deployed to spy even, with the champ Sean Bowen on board, who's a winner last time out. The hat-trick seeking Benvoy for Gavin Shin. They'll take a big chunk out of the market, those pair.
Yeah, it's funny to have a look at the jumpers, isn't it? I think Benvoy was quite good to us on the podcast. He got a few shouts and obviously has won twice. I saw an interview with Sean Bowen, or a headline of Sean Bowen saying he wants this title wrapped up before they even get going in winter. So himself and Ollie Murphy are obviously having a big push and they've got a couple of good chances. But I bang on a fair bit about Adrian Keatley doing all right with the dual-purpose horses, and I'm going to side with his Magluck here, who got up to, although was well beaten last time out, 150 to 1 shot, got up to group standard on the flat and has been running reasonably well at the likes of York. Has ran okay at Musselburgh before, and I think he'll switch back to his hurdling nice and easy. I don't know exactly what the ground will be like, but he goes on absolutely anything, and he's just a consistent sort of lugger that you wouldn't mind backing at 8s, 9s if you can get that. You give you a run for your money, I think.
Okay, then, yeah, Maglock, give him for Adrian Keatley. And he's also got the top weight, Kievar, who flat or jumps, doesn't matter, all comes the same to him. He's got the top weight in the summer hurdle.
Yes, I'm hoping maybe that he's just been taken there to bring his mark down a touch to have a go at a couple of handicaps when the season really gets going. But he obviously could run a big race. What was he, second in there? Was he third in there? He ran a couple of good races, didn't he? Trying to think. At Kempton on Newcastle, wasn't it? Third in the Fighting Fifth and second at Kempton behind Rue Boar. So he's obviously high class over hurdles. But we spoke about Ollie Murph and Sean Bowen. So Galahad on what will be a 5-timer, is it? I think maybe Sean got told off last time because he won by 28 lengths, 24 lengths. And then last time out at Worcester, just had him tucked between horses, weaving and waiting for the right moment and won by a length and a half. His mark gone up 5 pounds again. But they can be tough to stop, especially through the summer, these sort of summer jumpers that get on a bit of a roll and they just get nudged up in the weights. They can be hard to assess, and he looks like he absolutely loves his race in this horse. He looks game as ever, and with Sean Bowen on top, it's a perfect partnership. So I think he's still got another win in him, Sir Galahad.
Okay, for Sean Bowen and Ollie Murphy. And of course, they team up in the summer plate with last year's winner, Sure Touch, who looks like she's been targeted at this once again.
Yeah, £1 down from winning last year. Cobden was on board for victory last year and got her up by, I think, a length and a bit. Ballysax Hank, obviously, Gavin Cromwell and Harry Cobden is a duo that pricks your ears. Comes over from Ireland with a decent chance. another interesting runner who's actually going to take my money is down a touch. Horanson Derry, who had a crack in the National for Michael Keedy, previously was with Willie Mullins and now is with Sarah Bradstock. Mark's coming down all the way, probably has form at all sorts of different distances, but this 2 mile 5.5 off a somewhat reduced mark with Jack Tudor on board, who I'm a big fan of, I think could go pretty well on first start for Sarah Bradstock, provided that he settled in all right.
Interesting.
Yeah, so funny old career he's had, isn't it? Just
It is.
going all right. And up to a mark of 149 at one point. Got even racing in some sort of listed and decent handicaps. Then a crack at the National for Michael Keedy. Now over to Sarah Bradstock. Yeah,
it was a good run you took. So I remember seeing that as the Stanclark Cup, I think, wasn't it? And massive run at a massive price that day behind Paul Nicholls and Matterhorn. So interesting. Left field, Horanson Derry. Jack Tudor, but for the ride. There we go then. So, right, we have looked at 8 races then with you. What would be your best bet of the weekend? And it's not allowed to be Mini Hawk.
Damn it. Hey, I'm going all right, actually. I've been repaid by a couple of horses with the previous week Classic winning and last week Washington Heights winning. I was kind of looking for another horse that owes me a bit of cash this weekend after racking up a losing run for me. Can I go to a race we haven't covered?
You go wherever you want, but be quick because there's a bee near me.
Before Matt gets stung, 3:05 at the Curragh over 5 furlongs. Arizona Blaze, I love him. He's just straightforward. You know what you get in. He's run well at the Curragh before. He's run well in this race before, where I think there's been actually better competition. He was second at Ascot. He's so easy to back for me. And if you can get like a real soft each way bet to nothing, but I'd probably back him to win. I think he's got a great chance. David Egan on board, of course, for the Amateur Racing team. So Arizona Blaze, 3:05 the Curragh.
We are, in the Group 2 Sapphire Stakes, that sprint. Right, thanks to Jason, thanks to Frankie. Have a great weekend in Killarney and, of course, at Market Rasen on a Saturday. He's busy once again. Obviously, next week, we're looking ahead to the King George meeting at Ascot. Cannot wait for that brilliant afternoon, one of the midsummer highlights. And, of course, after that, it is Glorious Goodwood. So it's about to get very, very busy. Hopefully, we can line your pockets this weekend. The very best of luck wherever you're backing. Don't forget, like, subscribe, and you'll be the first to know when a new Punters Guide episode lands in your inbox. Best of luck. See you soon.